Welcome to the Vanarama National League Highlight Show on BT Sport. It's been an action-packed weekend with only 8 points separating the top 9 before a ball was kicked. Over the next half an hour, we'll bring you the best from football's 5th tier. Coming up, the Silkmen stretch their lead at the top. Mellon's men make it 7 unbeaten. And Solihull bounce back in style. We start at the EBB Stadium with a top-of-the-table clash between Aldershot and Macclesfield, where both managers were hoping to gain an advantage in the race for the title.
What a game in prospect. They're top of the league. Obviously, to test yourself against Macclesfield today will be pivotal, you'd imagine.
Yeah, I think with our results that we've had in the last couple of weeks, it's set this game up nicely. But let's not forget there's only 3 points at stake, and there's a lot of hard work to go from now to the end of the season. So this won't determine what happens, but it could go a long way to helping either team achieve what they want to achieve.
You come into this game, if we get the points, it keeps us going, and obviously it puts Aldershot back a little bit. But I don't think the season will be decided today. But there's a lot of games to go, but obviously it has a big effect.
The league leaders had beaten the Shots on their previous 3 encounters in Hampshire, and the hosts were up against it again inside the opening 3 minutes. Captain Will Evans giving referee David Rock little to think about when he fouled last man Nathan Blissett. Penalty for Macclesfield, red card for Evans. Danny Whittaker stepped up to the spot and scored his 4th goal of the season to give the visitors the early lead. Into the second half, and John Askey's men added a second. Elliot Durrell racing through and rounding keeper Lewis Ward before squaring the ball to Blissett for the tap-in. That's 2 goals in 3 appearances for the striker since signing on loan from Plymouth Argyle. But there was to be a nervy last half an hour when the referee was called into action again, this time awarding a penalty to Aldershot after George Pilkington handled in the box. Scott Rendell beating Shwan Jalal to pull one back for the hosts. Tyrone Marsh almost made it 3 for the Silkmen when he chipped the keeper. Emmanuel Ayolecki was there to head it off the line. Meanwhile, substitute Nicky Kabama came close to rescuing a point, but couldn't direct his header on target. The win moves Macclesfield 4 points clear. Aldershot are without a win in 3 at home.
The sending off changed the game. I think it probably affected us more than it did Aldershot in a way. But full credit to Aldershot. I thought, even though they went down to 10 men, I thought they played really well. We've got the 2 goals, and we should see the game out. And then obviously I don't know whether the referee's trying to even it up, but that changed the game again.
If it was 11 v 11, as a game, as a spectacle, it would have been much better in front of a big crowd today. A decision has meant we got down to 10 men very early on in the game, but our approach to it after that was first class.
3rd and 4th in the league met at Gander Green Lane. Sutton United hadn't lost in 5. Wrexham were going for a 10th match unbeaten. 20 minutes in, Dean Keats's side attacked their promotion rivals. An incisive through ball from Scott Bowden found Scott Quigley, who coolly beat Jamie Butler. Wrexham's Blackpool loanees now on 4 goals in his last 5. The hosts started the second half with greater energy in South London. From a corner, Tom Bollerimois was frustrated by the bar, but Simon Walton reacted to equalise. It's his first goal that's not a penalty since April 2015. While it was important not to lose, both sides badly wanted the victory. In added time, Akil Wright tried to beat Butler from distance, but he was denied by Sutton's keeper, and so was fellow sub Jonathan Franks going for the follow-up. Sutton's best attempt, meanwhile, at snatching the winner came moments later. Bollerimois went for goal from distance, seeing his deflected dipping volley kept out by Dunn.
I think it was a fair result overall again. Thought we had the better of the second half. I thought Wrexham were the better side in the first half. We had those 2 or 3 chances at the end. You're hoping for the winner, but I think on reflection it was 2 sides evenly matched, to be honest.
We stood up and obviously we got put under a lot of pressure. Obviously we stood up and got counted, the lads did, but we weren't good enough. Our standards wasn't good enough. We didn't move the ball good enough. Second half, we got caught going long too many times ourselves when it was on to make passes, and we didn't do that.
To Prenton Park, where Tranmere were unbeaten in 10 games, winning 9 of them. A tough test then for playoff chasing Bromley, who'd already surrendered 3 points to Rovers earlier in the season. But it was Neil Smith's side who fired the early warning. Luke Wanadio with an effort in front of the Kop, saved by Scott Davis. Then, with over half an hour on the clock, Adam Buxton provided the ball that would lead to the breakthrough as Bromley keeper David Gregory let it slip through his legs, allowing Connor Jennings to tap into the empty net. That's his 8th goal of the season. The striker was involved again as the hosts pushed for a second, this time providing the through ball to Oliver Norburn, whose shot went wide. And Mickey Mellon's men managed to hold on and go 7 games unbeaten despite a late scare as Louis Dennis saw his shot saved, Josh Rees firing the rebound over the crossbar. Rovers go second in the table as they prepare to welcome Macclesfield on Tuesday.
It was a really tough game, what we expected from a really well organised and real disciplined and physical Bromley team who you can see why the reasons why they're at the right end of the table.
Meadow Park hosted a 3rd matchup this season between Boreham Wood and Gateshead. The visitors had never lost to Wood in any competition. Keeping that run going didn't start well in Hertfordshire. Rapid Morgan Ferrier went through the gears to test the visitors' defence, eventually delivering a ball that was superbly put into the net by equally as dangerous Bruno Andrade, 1-0. 10 minutes after the restart, Boreham Wood had to defend a Gateshead corner, but on the edge of the area, unmarked Russell Penn fired at Grant Smith. There was a deflection from Wes York, who gets the goal. It's clear to see why Wood's Andrade is attracting EFL interest. Further skill and strength resulted in Luke Garrard's men regaining the lead on 75 minutes. Andrade has 6 in his last 8 and 16 for the campaign. Poor Gateshead defending moments later almost allowed the hosts to make it 3-1. Ricky Shakes was denied well though by James Montgomery. Boreham Wood's first ever victory over Gateshead also makes it 3 wins in succession.
We showed a bit of resilience, showed a bit of bite, and yeah, I think we was, come the end of it, worthy winners, especially out of game pound out with 20 to play.
Fylde went into the weekend at the top of the form table with 7 wins out of 10, including victory against Gateshead last week. With that, Dave Challoner named an unchanged side to face Leyton Orient, who were unbeaten in their last 2 games. Dan Holman tried to kick-start things. The striker on loan from Cheltenham Town fancying his chances from distance, his shot just over the crossbar. But when he was through on goal again, it was down to Simon Grant to stop him. And he did by hauling him down in the box. Penalty to Orient. Top scorer Macaulay Bond converted the spot kick for his 16th goal of the season. The visitors continued their quest for a second and went close after the break. James Brophy with the run and left-footed shot to Bon, who couldn't connect with the goal at his mercy. And despite being the leading scorers in the division, Fylde couldn't find a response. A chance to nick a point presented itself in the dying minutes of the game, but a goal-mouthed scramble and a shot by Henry Jones came to nothing. The win for Orient moves them 6 points clear of relegation.
That's a huge victory against a very good team. Not many people have left here with 3 points this season, and obviously with the results as they went today, it was certainly a huge win for us.
Dover Athletic went to the Midlands to take on relegation-threatened Solihull Moors, whose boss Mark Yates has been named Manager of the Month for January, following a run of 3 wins and a draw. Past 20 minutes, Anthony Jeffrey broke into the Solihull box, but his run was broken by Kyle Storer, penalty given. Top scorer Ryan Bird faced Max O'Leary, finding the net for the first time in 2018. Shortly after conceding the spot kick, Storer made amends. It wasn't the most flattering equaliser, which came after a spotted pinball in the Dover area. Storer moved to Solihull last month from Cheltenham Town. Dover were going for only a second away victory in 8 after the break. Suspect defending was taken advantage of by Mitch Pinnett. Chris Kinnear's side were back in front. With Moors then aiming to level the game for a second time, Kwame Thomas was challenged by Manny Parry, penalty number 2. Mitch Walker was beaten by Thomas, who signed permanently this month from Coventry City. With just over 5 minutes remaining, Solihull captain Darren Carter was released into the Dover area, unselfishly setting up Alex Reid, who secured victory at the end of a brilliant match. Moors are unbeaten in 6, but still 2 points away from safety.
Welcome back to the Vanarama National League Highlight Show. Already battling relegation, Chester announced last month that they needed £50,000 to survive until the end of the season. BT Sports' Michael Owen helped set up a fundraising fixture against an all-star 11 last Thursday. We caught up with the former England striker.
It means a lot to me. I was born in the city, my dad played for them, and in the glory years got promotion, was top scorer for a few years and got to the semi-final of the League Cup as well, which was unheard of really back then for a team so low in the league. My dad's going to take the kick-off as well, which is amazing for me, sharing a pitch with him. It's my local team and obviously doing as much as I can to support them.
Number 7, Kelly Owen!
It's testing times at the moment, and we lost the club 8 years ago or however long it was and got relegated quite a few divisions, managed to bounce back, and it would be a travesty if it happened again, so we're doing all we can to prevent that. Colin Murray, who was another semi-famous Chester fan like me, phoned me one day and said, come on, me and you have got to do something, and that's when we put this game into motion really. I think the club are hoping to raise as much money as possible, which will see them through to the end of the season, and it's season to season really. Once we get to the summer, then I think a nice plan can be put into place to keep it sustainable for the future.
With £25,000 raised off the field, there was another big challenge on it. Chester were without a win in 5 and had failed to score in their last 2 games. They needed a win to help their league survival as they welcomed EASTLEIGH, whose unbeaten run of 9 games came to a halt courtesy of Boreham Wood last week. The hosts got off to the best start, taking the lead inside 20 minutes. Ross Hanna beating the offside trap to fire past Graham Stack for his first goal since December. Their advantage was short-lived. Just a minute later, former Tottenham winger Mark Yates was able to bundle his way through and finish calmly past Sam Hornby for the equaliser. It was Marcus Bignot's side who went into the break back in front though, courtesy of Hannah again. Stack unable to deal with the ball in from Andy Halls, the striker prodding it into the empty net from close range for his brace, taking his tally for the season to 8. The minutes were ticking down, but there was enough on the clock for the hosts to add a third and wrap up their first win at home in 2 months. Dominic Vose showing his skill before teeing up substitute James Akintunde, who finished with his first goal since November. The win sees Chester move up a place, now 5 points from safety.
Hartlepool United hadn't played for 3 weeks following the postponement of their last match at Barrow. Woking visited the North East on the back of consecutive victories. Within 20 minutes at the Victoria Ground, Craig Harrison's men were in front thanks to a low-effort pass Nathan Baxter from Devante Rodney. It was a first goal in 28 games for Rodney, 1-0. Hartlepool have endured a horrible time in the National League. They'd won only 8 times in 31. Jake Cassidy was next to beat Baxter on the turn, moving on to 4 goals for the campaign. With only a couple of minutes remaining in the first half, Hartlepool put a third past Woking, a flicked header from Rhys Oates doing the damage on this occasion. Anthony Limbrick had delivered 2 home victories in a row, but Woking were heading for a 9th game without a win on the road. Could some pride be restored after Rhys Grigo-Cox's close-range effort past Scott Loach on 85 minutes? Moments later, a nervous finish for Hartlepool was set up as on loan from Hull City, Johnny Edwards also found the net. But 3-2 it finished, a huge first victory for the home team in 11 games.
Massive positives. Got a little bit disjointed and a little bit sloppy the last 10 minutes. It's just a bit of game management, seeing the game out and You know, but you know, we're not going to worry about that too much. It was 3 points, and you know, I'd take 3 points every week if that's how we win it. Crowd today, fantastic. You know, and to get a win, you know, after so long at home is an important thing as well. You know, to reward them so they go home tonight happy.
4 places separated Maidstone and Barrow in the bottom half of the table as they went head-to-head at the Gallagher Stadium. Jay Saunders' team are on the worst run in the division, without a win in 14 games. Similarly, the Bluebirds were also without victory this year, so who would break their winless streak? Well, it was the visitors who made the first move. Luke James, on loan from Forest Green, embarking on a fine solo effort, driving at United's defence before finishing in off the post past Lee Worgan, his first for Barrow. And Maidstone's luck wasn't about to change. The closest chance for an equaliser falling to Alex Winter, who went agonisingly wide in stoppage time. That's 5 defeats in their last 6 matches.
When you're chasing a game and at this level, when you give teams a chance and something to hang on to, it's hard. And as much possession we had and balls we put in their box, we haven't been able to make it count today. So I think we could, to be honest, we could have stayed there all night and we wouldn't have scored today. So yeah, frustrating.
Ebbsfleet United went to FC Halifax, who've been without a permanent manager since the end of last month following Billy Heath's departure by mutual consent. The hosts, who drew last week with promotion-chasing Wrexham, were denied an opener by quick-to-react Nathan Ashmore in the Fleet goal. With 8 minutes to go before the break, Matty Coslow drove at the visitors' defence on the break and won a penalty at the MBI Shea Stadium after a rash challenge from Kenny Clark. Coslow stepped up to test Ashmore, beating him to make it 1-0. Ebbsfleet boss Daryl McMahon sent on new signing Corey Whiteley at half-time, and from close range after a strong save from Sam Johnson, it took the former Dagenham and Redbridge forward only 10 minutes to find the net on his debut. The 26-year-old scored 24 in 72 for the Daggers. Involved in the build-up to Whiteley's debut equaliser was Luke Coulson, who 5 minutes later turned goal scorer. The forward's now got 2 in his last 2. Halifax are still yet to win in 2018 as Ebbsfleet moved to within 3 points of the playoffs.
At Plainmoor, Torquay were hoping to produce something they hadn't all season. 3 wins in a row. They were unbeaten in 3 as they welcomed Dagenham and Redbridge, who by contrast had lost 4 games on the bounce, their worst run since April 2016. John Still's side hadn't scored last time out against Aldershot, but they broke the deadlock here 5 minutes after the restart. Fajiri Okunibiri powering into the roof of the net from a tight angle. With 15 minutes to go, Dagenham's new skipper made it 2-0. Dan Sparks with the free kick, headed in by Craig Robson for his 2nd of the season. The game was already won, but Okunibiri was able to dance past the Torquay defence in the final minute to grab his 7th of the campaign, equalling his tally for last season. Wins elsewhere for Hartlepool and Barrow means the Gulls are now 8 points from safety.
Well, obviously, I think the results have gone against us, so we've got more ground to make up. We still believe we can do it, but we can't afford to have any performances like that performance today.
National League strugglers Guiseley sacked Paul Cox as manager this week after only 5 months in charge. Defeat on Tuesday at home to Gateshead was a 6th successive loss. Republic of Ireland international Sean St Ledger is in charge as caretaker boss, despite being with the club for less than a month. Guiseley, who are bottom of the table, haven't won since Boxing Day and sought a change to their fortunes against Maidenhead, who have hopes of a top-half finish in their first campaign in the 5th tier. The start from the hosts was encouraging. Less than 20 minutes in at Nethermoor Park, Dale Southall beat Carl Pentney, scoring for the 2nd time this season. Guiseley had taken only 1 point from 7 games in 2018. On the half-hour mark, St Ledger's side suffered a setback. A scramble in the box resulted in Jake Hyde equalising. The reigning National League South champions increased the pressure before the interval. Harry Pritchard cut inside and got the better of Luke Coddington, 2-1 to Maidenhead. Pritchard was up to 3 goals in his last 3 appearances for Alan Devonshire's team. That soon became 4 and 10 for the campaign, with Guiseley exposed in defence. Maidenhead move up to 12th as St Ledger's team remain rock bottom with a solitary point from 8 games this year.
The most important thing is Guiseley Football Club and what the owner wants to do. And I've said to him, I'm here for him if he needs me. And so I've left it with the owner, you know. It's really down to him. I'm staying well out of that, and I get paid by this football club. So whatever role it's in as a player or as a standing caretaker manager, then that's fine with me.
Macclesfield Town moved 4 points clear at the top of the Vanarama National League table with a 2-1 win against in-form Aldershot Town. Tranmere Rovers are now second after extending their unbeaten run to 7. Another big clash saw Sutton United and Wrexham both drop a place in the table after sharing a 1-1 draw. Fylde became the latest victims of Leyton Orient's improved form, the O's winning 1-0 to move up to 16th spot, and Hartlepool beating Woking 3-2 to lift them 4 points clear of the drop zone and ending an 11-game winless run. Barrow moved up to 19th after a 1-0 win against Maidstone. Finally, Chester beat EASTLEIGH 3-1 to move to within 3 points of Solihull.
To National League South, where leaders Dartford went to Wealdstone, clinging to top spot after 2 successive losses. The visitors' task in West London was to be eased, in theory, by a moment of madness 3 minutes before the interval. Iffy Allen, on loan from Bromley, lunged in late on Dartford's Andy Pugh. There can be few complaints about the call to award a straight red card. Into the final 25 minutes, and the scoring was finally open for the team with 10 men. The quick David Pratt out wide assisted Danny Flitchett, who made it 1-0. Mid-table Wealdstone were on for a 4th win in a row in the league. Dartford, meanwhile, had already lost a couple in succession for the first time in almost 2 years. Avoiding a third was to be helped by an equaliser in the 81st minute from non-league football's Danny Mills, 1-1. Only 2 minutes later, a Dartford corner resulted in a winner, the goal scorer sub Alfie Pavey. Dartford's victory means they remain top in the south, 3 points ahead of Havant and Waterlooville.
Elsewhere in the National League South, at Chelmsford City and Hemel Hempstead Town shared another 3-3 draw. Truro let a 2-goal half-time lead slip to lose 3-2 at home to Oxford City. Salford City maintained their 2-point lead at the top of the National League North, beating Alfreton Town 3-2. But Harrogate Town show no signs of going away in the title race, ending Kidderminster Harriers' 17-game unbeaten run with an impressive 2-0 win. There's still plenty of live National League action on BT Sport. In March, we start off with Boreham Wood, who face league leaders Macclesfield on Saturday the 3rd from midday. Then we travel to Wales for the cross-border derby between Wrexham and Chester. You can catch that on Sunday the 11th. And finally, Tranmere welcome EASTLEIGH to Prenton Park on Saturday the 24th at 11:45. You can watch all of those matches on BT Sport 1 and 4K UHD. That's it for another week from the Vanarama National League. It's been another action-packed weekend, 35 goals in total, and Mac moved 4 points clear at the top. We'll see you again soon.